Hi there and welcome. I'm here to talk to you right now about your Illume Shift Nurse job description. And this, of course, is important for you to know what your job is about, what's expected of you, what we're looking for, as well as what you'll be evaluated on in your performance evaluations. It's also going to be linked to your performance bonuses that happen every 6 months. So here it is. This is the job description. It talks about the opportunity, and this would have been the things you would have read when you first came on board. The mission of our organization, or the mission of this role, the shift nurse, is to provide hands-on, remarkable care for a medically fragile child or adult and enhance their quality of life through in-home shift nursing. So when you first start with Illume and you're a brand new shift nurse, it's important to know what we expect from you right out of the gate. So we expect that in your first 90 days that you will complete your orientation, you will complete your competency evaluation, you will undergo whatever training is deemed important and necessary as you're entering into the field and working with whichever patient you're working with, and any shadowing or mentoring that is required. So you complete orientation, you complete the full new hire checklist with scheduled time frames. You successfully complete the competency evaluation and leveling within the scheduled time frame. And after orientation, you complete any other additional training that might be required per your supervisor or the supervisor of clinical services or your shadow shift mentor nurse. So that's the first most important thing, is to get through those things, and that you do it on time, and that you do it in conjunction with our program. Next thing, number 2, is to learn to document using our electronic medical record system or paper system, and to use good documentation to communicate with your team. And we want to see you really able to do this within 90 days. So within the first 90 days, it might be iterative. You might hear from the person in quality to tell you, okay, we want to see you improve here or there. They might send back your notes asking for improvements. And what they're looking for is for you to become better and better at your documentation. And so that by 90 days, you're hardly ever receiving anything back from the quality assurance team. We expect all the documentation to be complete within 24 hours of the shift. We expect that you will review and return any documents flagged by QA within 24 hours. And we expect that you demonstrate compliant, satisfactory documentation consistently within the 90-day period. And we're here to support you, right? We want to help you. If we identify that you're having trouble, we'll likely get some more training involved for you. We'll invite you to come in, and we'll expect you to come in and do that. The next area or next goal is in the first bit of time, first 90 days, is to learn, participate effectively on your care team. So we want you to get in good habits of care coordination and really, being a good care team member. And so we want to see you successfully complete your shadow shifts with a mentor, nurse, or supervisor. We want to see you reach out to your case manager or supervisor after your first 3 shifts, and then at least weekly, to build good communication with your case manager. We also want to see you participating in monthly interdisciplinary team meetings, which you'll hear about from your case manager and from your supervisor of clinical services. We also expect to see clear communication with whoever's taking care of your patient next. So successfully report to the next caregiver at the end of each shift needs to be clearly documented, so that we can make sure that the coordination of this medically fragile individual, their care, is really being handled. The next thing we want to look at here, number 4, is to work together with your supervisor to support you in developing a career growth plan. So we want to see you talking with them about how you can grow your skills, talking with them about, how you can improve. We can all of us can improve in every area, really. And so which areas you want to improve clinically, as well as through your cultural proficiencies, etc. Next, we want to look at participating on a committed team for 1 to 2 medical. So if you want to participate on the team with a medically fragile patient, maybe more than one, and learn the clinical skills needed to care for the specific individual. So you need to be able to be really aware of your patient's plan of care. You want to make sure you review it prior to going into the field. It's your responsibility that before you go out into the field to see a new patient for the first time, you need to have a phone call at least with your clinical care manager or the supervisor of clinical services, and be sure to get up to speed on the plan of care. And then we want to make sure that you deliver the care consistently within that plan of care. So it's really expected of you, especially in the first 90 days, to be reading that plan of care every time you go in, and you know that plan of care inside and out, and make sure as you're looking through the plan of care that you're documenting that you're doing the things that are stated in the plan of care. So that mastery of the plan of care is part of what we're looking for in the first 90 days. Next, we want to demonstrate the ability to handle emergent situations that may arise. This is super important. If something goes wrong, we need to know that you can handle it, right? You have a life in your hands. So during the mentor shadow shift, there will be an opportunity to review and see how you're doing with the emergent procedures. On each shift, you want to check to make sure the emergency equipment is working, and you want to make sure that you are, you're prepared. You know what to do in case of any kind of emergency. You want to identify ways to improve the wellness and well-being of your patients by contributing to their curated care plan. And so this is where you want to be thinking about more than just the physical care of your patient. You want to think about what are their interests, what are their likes. You want to think about what the holistic needs are of the patient, the family, the circumstances, and you want to be feeding information back to your clinical care manager or SCS and letting them know what you're seeing in the field. If they need extra support in some way, or if you notice that there's certain things the patient enjoys or likes, what lights them up, what brings a smile to their face, what seems to be preferred by the family. Reporting all of that back to the case manager allows us to sort of streamline and share that information across from one person to the next. It's great if you know it. It's even better if we know that the other members of the team realize that that mother really likes it when you take your shoes off and put on slippers with rubber soles when you arrive. Or it's really important that we all know that the child really enjoys listening to Raffi music or something. It's really important that we share that information between each other so we're coordinated. So those are the goals, right? And so when it comes to, building your goals, the first 90 days, the first 6 months, it'll be around the goals I just mentioned. And then you'll start to build on those goals over time, but they'll expand. The next area of the job description, and then this, of course, is what will be required and what will be evaluated during the performance appraisal process, are the primary functions of your job. And so complex nursing care, being able to provide the nursing to a medically fragile individual at home. And it may require various interventions. So whichever interventions that your patient or patients require, trachs, vents, GJ tubes, respiratory vests, treatments, nebulizers, catheters, seizure disorder responses, that kind of thing. This is what we're going to be looking for, and how well are you able to do that. Shift nursing in general, provide shifts, 8-hour shifts for clients as directed by the case manager, able to do that. Timely communication, communicates information on a timely basis, communicates verbally as needed and through complete and accurate documentation. Change in condition, make sure that you are communicating on paper that you have reached out to your RN case manager and you have communicated it in the documentation itself. and that you actually do communicate with the RN case manager. And if you have, part of this is knowing what those changes in condition are and are appropriately documenting and communicating those changes in condition. Clinical documentation itself, so completing that clinical documentation within 24-hour shift, as well as having good clinical documentation. Reporting, ensuring safe continuity of care by communicating clearly to the next nurse or caregiver. All the information that's important about the care, and important also is documenting that you have reported. This is very important. It's a requirement. It's a regulatory requirement for us to report and to document the report, just like it's a regulatory, all these things are regulatory requirements actually, that you have timely communication, that you communicate change in condition, that you have really good documentation. Safety measures, right? Recognizes and responds appropriately to potentially unsafe situations. So we talked about that above then in the goals as well. Emergency preparedness. So we are required, of course, to have a emergency plan, an individual emergency plan for each patient. And so it's important here that you're participating in the planning activities, as well as you are checking that plan every day, making sure that you go through that checklist, make sure everything is in place in case the electricity goes out or whatever happens that could happen. You're prepared. You have enough supplies on hand, the go bags ready to go, etc. Curated care works with the RN case manager to develop the 10-step curated care plan, and you're thinking about and providing 6 levels of need to the clinical care manager. Participating in IDT meetings, weekly care check-ins. It's required when you're less than 90 days in your job to reach out to your case manager at least once a week to check in. Monthly monitoring, meets at least with the mentor or RN case manager to receive support, at least mentoring once monthly for mentoring and supervision. And you want to make sure that you participate in any patient-specific training and monthly training. So those are the areas of your functionality in your job as a shift nurse. Then the next piece is related to your cultural competencies. Okay, and so the next area are the cultural competencies, and these are what makes a LUME, right? So a lot of agencies would just kind of have you stop up here with what those functional pieces are, and those are really, really important. But we believe that these other elements are equally as important, and especially for delivering care to people in people's homes for extended periods of time. Shift nursing for years and years at a time, if we don't have this kind of level of service, and if we don't have the teamwork necessary, we will not be able to be successful, and probably we also won't have a very good time doing it. So remarkable care. So you overtly demonstrate you care about the company, employees, patients, and the larger community. You go above and beyond what is expected in everything done, large or small. Go above and beyond. Elevated excellence. Earns trust and maintains confidence. This is where you demonstrate that you're consistently trying to do the right thing, and you're telling the truth about what you see and what you're concerned about. You expect personal performance and team performance to be nothing short of best. You're always working together to do what's right and to do what's best. That's all part of what remarkable care is. Next is this on-time piece. You want to be on time with appointments, phone calls, patient visits, meetings, documentation, deliverables, projects. Being on time is so important when it comes to being able to say to your team members and to families, I respect you. You can trust me. It's a very, very simple, powerful way to communicate that you are trustworthy. Attendance, impeccable attendance is required. This is a person who rarely or if ever calls out, is never late, always where they needed to be when needed. Teamwork, so reaches out to peers and cooperates with supervisors to establish an overall collaborative working environment. Demonstrates enthusiasm, passion, excitement, has a can-do attitude, likes to come to work every day, has positive attitudes, really, really important. Attention to detail. In our work, especially because it's a regulated work and we're working with people who are medically fragile, your attention to detail has to be top notch. Um, we see this sometimes happening where people don't follow the care plan exactly, where people don't pay total attention to the medication. This is very serious. Um, so don't let important details slip through the cracks. It's also little things like when you're filling out a form, it would be shocking to see how many times there are boxes missed, or the date is wrong, or the time in, time out is inaccurate. These details are extremely important to the communication system within our team. And when they are wrong, it really derails our whole system. So attention to detail is super, super important. Are you teachable? Are you willing to learn? Do you demonstrate the ability to quickly and proficiently understand and absorb new information, new systems? If we roll out a new process, are you resistant or are you teachable? Flexible and adaptable. We really value that, being able to adjust quickly and change priorities and conditions if needed, copes effectively with complexity and change. Communication. So communication matters. So how you speak, how you write, the way that you communicate with each other, and that it's professional and kind, and that it is appropriate. Calm under pressure. So maintain stable performance even when heavy pressure or stress happens. And certainly this happens in the homes, right? It's very important to stay calm and remember who your team is. That's the invisible team that's not right there with you, but is there for you. Reach out to them for support. Your work ethic. We have some very, very high work ethic people in our team, and I am so grateful for that. So possess a strong willingness to work hard, sometimes long hours to get the job done, has a track record of working hard. Relationship building. So again, this is so important in home health and in particular in continuous care. Capable and interested in building meaningful, successful relationships with other members of your team, your patients, your family, extended community. So these are some of the bits that go into your job description. These will be present when you have your performance evaluations. It will also be part of what goes into your bonuses that happen. So that's all I have for now. I hope you have a wonderful day and go make the world a better place.